Hello there, you're watching and listening to another ScoutCast on www.fantasyfootballscout.co.uk, and my name is Mark. Good evening.
My name's John T. Hello.
My name's Andy.
And my name's Luke. Hello.
Hello, gentlemen. New season, new start. Same old us, though. Nothing new about us. Same old beard here. And welcome to the ScoutCast, and welcome to the listener. We have got just a few days to go. It's grueling, absolutely grueling. We've got lots to talk about, I believe, Joe. Lots of questions coming in, not surprisingly. Lots of questions amongst us already. We tried not to chat before we went on air. It's inevitable. We all have a 10-minute kind of preamble, don't we? We're trying to save the best stuff for on air. I'll say the best stuff, we'll see. But lots of questions, John T, to get through tonight, haven't we? Lots of unanswered questions.
Yes, yeah. So we're going to try and divide it up because basically it's like we're trying to help people pick a side. They've all got a side, but they've still got a few issues they're trying to iron out. So we're going to have a brief look at our teams, and then we're just going to go through the position. We're going to look at some of the issues around forwards, midfielders, defenders, goalkeepers, and we got a nice question at the end to finish it all off.
Yeah.
But so hopefully we should better cover most of the key issues because there's a hell of a lot to cover.
Yeah, I'm finding it murderous, Andy. I mean, I came in here and I thought it was 2-0 to Madrid. Didn't realise that United had scored, and I sheepishly asked you who'd scored, and you gleefully said Romelu Lukaku. He's been in and out of my team for a couple of weeks. He's in at the moment. I didn't want to hear that he scored tonight. I guess you're settled on him now, are you, as a United fan?
He's been the only player that's never left any of my drafts. So yeah, he's nailed in. Unless I hear the words Lukaku is injured, he's not going anywhere. Even Kane's been out of my team a few times. So yeah, Lukaku's locked in. The rest of them, I'm in that like final week now where I just question everything. Anything that I thought I was settled on is now being questioned. So it's kind of a mad panic for the last few days.
Yeah, Luke, you haven't got him though, have you? United fan yourself, but you're not going with Lukaku. I know he's going to come up in the questions later, but quickly, just justify it. Why are you not worried about it? West Ham at home. Hasn't he scored in every game against West Ham, bar one?
Of course I'm worried. Don't copy me, for God's sake. Do you know what I mean? You want me to try and justify it now? I like Jesus for 1 million less. I think that he scored more goals.
Yeah.
I think there is a chance that he returns, good points, similar points, maybe 20, 25 goals. You never know. For 1 million less, I prefer cheering the team on that's going for the goals. I feel like Man United will shut up shop after maybe one or two.
As a United fan, buys a Jesus in his team and says that his own team will shut up shop. Johnsy, I don't know what to make of it, but this is typical, isn't it, at the moment? I'm going grey with worry over this team right now. The beard, specks of grey appearing. I'll be like Abel Xavier by the end of the week. It'd be totally great. I just don't know the dilemmas. They're all over the squad, aren't they? It's not just up front. We've talked about Lukaku there, but that's just the beginning, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, people are worried. It's everywhere because last season, this time last year, when it came to goalkeepers, most people, they looked at the stats, they looked at Tom Heaton, and they've gone Tom Heaton. There we go.
Gimme, wasn't it?
4.5. We'll have Tom Heaton and some other bloke, and there we go. This season, it's all over the shop because Tom Heaton's more money, so you're looking for 4.5 ones. Then people are looking at West Brom, but it's a Tony Pulis side that doesn't keep clean sheets anymore, or will it? So you've got problems there. Defence, all the wing backs, they're all 6.5, 7 million now. Do we squeeze them all in? Will they do exactly the same again? Or do we go cheap again? No one's talking about uber cheap defence anymore, but perhaps they should. And then midfield, once again, too many options again. And then up front as well, they're too expensive. Lukaku, Kane, then what you're left with. So there was an article today on Fantasy Football Scout looking at mid-price strikers.
Not a lot there, was there?
I had to shield my eyes. It was so disgusting, the array of lack of talent there.
I mean, Gabbiadini was the poster boy. That's how.
That's how bad it was, and people people had such a poor experience with him last season. He really let them down. He was kind of smirking in the picture. People didn't like that.
He wined and dined us, and then he just ran off with another woman, didn't he? It was absolutely outrageous. It was. He just didn't deliver at all. It looked so good when he signed and started scoring goals, and we had those double game weeks in mind, and. It was a disaster, and it's hard to forgive him, really. And looking at the fixtures, we want a Southampton player in, and I'm sure they're going to come up later in the show as well. But no one trusts him, do he? Because he betrayed him.
Well, but he didn't betray me because I didn't really suffer from that. I didn't really have Gabbiadini for that final bit. I think I had him for 1 week, then got rid quick, and then was fine. Moved on to Kane. Forget about it. Had quite a nice end to the season. So I wasn't really burnt by Gabbiadini. So he doesn't have that same feel to it. It's not like he's let me personally down. And therefore, that is why he is currently my third striker, because he is the best of that bunch. And the fixtures are extraordinary. And I've also been talking, we'll come to it a bit later, but I've been talking to a lot of Southampton fans. I've been really, really quizzing the Southampton fans.
And there's a few on the site, isn't there? Lucy popped back in. And
Lucy's been very invaluable with help there. Lots of links as well to local press articles. Because the fixtures are incredible, and we really want Southampton to perform because they're quite affordable in defence, midfield. You've got Redmond and Tadic, and then up front Gabbiadini, and God, you need them as well because you've got Kane at an extraordinary amount of money, Lukaku at a huge amount of money, De Bruyne at a huge amount of money. You need those Southampton players to perform.
Okay, well, I guess we start with our teams. And Jonty, you might as well go first because I got your team. Just so happens you stuck yours first. Preferential treatment, I guess, for the guy who puts the notes together. Gabbiadini is in your team, so
yeah.
Well,
yeah, he's not nailed. I mean, I basically, I'll go through it quickly. I'll say who's nailed.
Who's locked in? Come on,
who's locked in? I've got Kane locked in. I've got Lukaku locked in. I've got Kevin De Bruyne locked in. I feel that De Bruyne is the best City.
Okay. Well, let's talk through some of those then. Harry Kane, did you think twice at all? Has he been in and out at all?
I've thought about it, but I've never actually removed him because I'm thinking...
You are allowed to take him out and put him back in again.
Yeah, I know I am, but it's that fear factor. And we'll come to it when we talk about forwards. But yes, I think that having Ali or Eriksen, or even both, would be good enough. But it's that game week 3 against Burnley at home. We've been there before with Harry Kane at home to Burnley, and he didn't deliver then, but I don't think it'll be the same this time around.
Okay.
I think I'd want him, and I think it would cause problems because he's so expensive to try and get him back in.
Okay.
One of the many issues that I had last season, a problematic season for me, was trying to shoehorn Alexis Sanchez in hurriedly, and it didn't work out. You cut corners elsewhere, and it's much better to have a nice plan, have them in place at the beginning, and then you've got the option to remove them rather than trying to get them back in.
Yeah, okay. And Lukaku, we'll talk about him later on. KDB, does he come up later on? He's in my team as well. I think this is presumably because, like me, you think you've got to have some City cover, Jonty. Is that right?
It is, yeah. And he's actually cheaper than Jesus. He's 0.5 cheaper. If Jesus was the same, I'd go for him, I think. But De Bruyne, he was 1 point shy of 200 points. Was it 21 assists last season?
Yeah.
He's going to be absolutely involved. If City are going to come out flying, he is going to be involved.
Okay.
Tentatively at the moment. So they're nailed in. A Bournemouth defender is nailed in. I've got Aki at the moment. I could have Daniels. They do
I can't believe you turned your back on Daniels. You know,
well, it's because I had Daniels last season.
More or less part of the family.
I felt like something a bit different, but we went through this on our pre-season ScoutCast. Aki was top for baseline bonus, and he's actually elite when it comes to points per match amongst defenders as well. He's up there with the Chelsea boys, which of course he used to be. But this was while he was at Bournemouth on loan. So I just feel it's just something a bit new, a bit different. I can always switch back to Daniels. So I think they're really nailed on. A Southampton defender's nailed on. They do chop and change. At the moment, I've gone for Stevens. I'll explain a bit why a bit later. And at the moment, then there's the best of the rest. These are the ones that can come and go. Zaha, I'm okay with him at the moment. I think he's good value, 7 million. Got Pogba in tentatively. I'm backing the theory he's going to bomb forward. Not sure he will, so I might not back that theory come Friday. And then there's Gabbiadini. He's there currently because I can't think of one.
And you've gone for 2 Brighton in Gross and
yeah. And at the moment I've got Gross. Gross, I don't intend to play until game week 3. I think Brighton's fixtures get much better in game week 3. I don't fancy their chance against City. I don't fancy their chance against Leicester. I've got Sutner as well, Marcus Sutner. I think he's looking great in pre-season. Both Gross and Sutner. I think good. So I'm looking ahead a bit. Cheaper players on the bench who can come in game week 3 onwards. I've got Stones in at the moment. I think he's a really good option for pre-season because he was so awful as a fantasy asset last season. So I think he might be a bit overlooked.
It depends if they play 3 at the back, though, doesn't it?
It depends. They've only got 3 centre-backs. If you play 3 at the back, he will play.
Well, Danilo could play there. He could do anything, Pep, couldn't he?
In theory, Aguero could be there, yeah. But
anyone could be a defender
in theory. I think, I'm betting there. And as well, and back to that goalkeeper thing, which we will come to later. I've got Forster and Myhill. Foster and Myhill, sorry, and Myhill. It's 8.5. It's a very common I'm currently still trusting in that. I don't really want to be spending 9 million. I've been swayed by having a 4 million defender, and I think that double up from the same team works. If Foster gets injured, it's quite simple. Myhill will play, so I've always got a goalkeeper.
Okay, so you haven't got a 4 million defender. Okay, coming to you, Andy. How many of those names have you got? I guess. I mean, Lukaku. We talked about. We know you're nailed on with that. De Bruyne, is he locked in as well for you?
Not locked in, no, but he's been around quite a lot. I'd say I think at this point it'd probably be unlikely for me not to go for him. So he's in my team currently. I actually haven't got. Well, I've got a few the same. Like I've got Foster Elliott, which is basically the same. I don't know if I'm going to stick with Elliott. I'll decide on that. It's kind of just a placeholder 4 million goalie. Yeah, I've got a few placeholders in my team. Like I know I'm going to have a 5.5 million defender, and we're going to talk about these later. Right now, I've got Van Arnold in there if he's going to play wing back.
Now that's interesting. That is really interesting because I had him in the other night and was like, Huddersfield at home.
Yeah, well, they got 3 really nice home fixtures in the first. I think it's 5, something like that. To be honest, I didn't know until yesterday. It hadn't even clocked that he was playing wing back during pre-season. So as soon as I saw that, I mean, we know what his goal threat's like when he's just playing as a normal left back. So I put him in. I don't know if he'll stay, but he's in there right now. I've kind of gone for 5 big hitters. So I've actually got Lukaku, Kane, De Bruyne, Salah, and Eriksen right now. But it does mean I have to play Tom Carroll as a 4th mid, which I think we're also going to talk about later. So, yeah, I don't know if I'm set on that. I have a feeling that will change. I think Carroll will end up being my 5th mid.
So who's going to go, Eriksen?
Probably, yeah. I think so. Who for? Probably Zaha, to be honest. I think, again, I know we're going to talk about 7 million midfielders. He's probably top of my picks out of them. Can explain that later. But, yeah, and then I've got Mooney, 6 million defender. But like you guys were talking about earlier, I don't really like any of the cheap strikers, really.
You got Mooney, the Huddersfield striker, yeah.
Yeah, but it's based on pre-season alone, really. I mean, do I really want to promote a striker? I'm not convinced.
You're not. I've got Tammy at the moment. You're not interested in him?
No, don't think so.
So was that.
No, I think it's the same with Mooney. It's a lot of pre-season for someone who's not proven. I think I can just do better for that position or that money. Or sorry, not for the money maybe, but I feel like I can distribute my cash a bit better and upgrade. Like Johnny, I didn't have Gabbiadini last year in that double game week, so I'm not quite against him as other people are. And I would really like to target those Southampton fixtures. I mean, if Austin had started that last game, he'd be nailed in my team. So I'm quite tempted by Gabbiadini. It's a bit annoying he's 0.5 more, but he could get back in the fray, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's 3 and 4 at home, and they're good home games as well. It's just hard to not get a Southampton defender, fair enough, but even an attacker, it's so difficult to avoid them, isn't it? Because you just think, they're going to get a couple of goals over those 3 games at least. Even, I mean, they struggled at home though. 17 goals, I think, in 19.
They were very negative last year.
They were, but Pellegrino's a negative manager as well, though. He only got 41 goals of Avies last season, which I think was I don't know how low relative to the rest of the division, but same as Southampton, in fact, overall in the season. So, I don't know. It's a shame. I mean, because Southampton are a team, the fixtures, we want to lump on them big time, but the lessons we learned last season, the change of manager, the uncertainty of the lineup, it does cause doubt. Coming to you next, Luke. Okay, so how many of these names have you got then? You've got Jesus and Kane up front then. For you, Kane has been locked in, has he, all summer?
Pretty much, yeah. Think I may have swapped him out just to see what I could do, but instantly disliked my team, so straight back in. I've got Firmino as my 3rd striker. Not really any science behind that, aside from I like Liverpool's attack. I think they'll score a lot of goals, so I'd like to double up on them. So 8.5 million is the cheapest option out of their attacking options, so I'll go with that. The Coutinho thing's a bit of a worry.
So you got him at the moment, haven't you?
Well, I've got Firmino and Salah. I would prefer to have Coutinho, but obviously we don't know what's going on with him, so it's probably a bit risky to start with him. Double Man City, double Liverpool attack. That's where I'm going. Just guys to score goals and just hope that it works out.
I've got to say, I mean, that's at one point I did have De Bruyne, Jesus, Mane, and Salah in there, which meant a cheaper front line. It meant no Lukaku. And I had Defoe in there with Kane, I think, and maybe Abraham's still there. It's a cheap front line. I've looked at all kinds of configurations because I really like Salah. I like him. He's in my team at the moment with De Bruyne and Zaha. And Matt Ritchie. No one's mentioned Matt Ritchie. I like Newcastle's fixtures. Ritchie set pieces, penalties. Got Lukaku and Kane and Abraham up front. And then nailed on. I've kind of set my heart on getting Valencia because I've got this theory that him and Lukaku down the United right are going to be quite effective. And sometimes they're going to play wing back and it'll be effective in that. I think Valencia should have got more assists than he got last season. And right now, at the back, I've got Sutner as my budget defender and me as well, 2 4-5s, with Alexander-Arnold just as a one hit because I know he's going to play at Watford. I thought he's sure bet, and I've got Danilo in there as well. I was really impressed with him pre-season. I know Mendy's going to come back and there's going to be rotation, but I think early on, Danilo for 5-5. If they play wing backs, he's getting forward an awful lot. I'm not going to keep him for more than a couple of weeks, but he might make it in the initial lineup. It's tempting, bit of a differential. I just like City, if I can't get Jesus, I quite fancy getting one of their attacking defenders, and for me, it has to be Danilo at 5-5. In goal, I've got Foster and Elliott. Luke, who have you got in goal? You didn't speak about that.
That's changed so much. I've switched between them all the time, to be honest. But at the moment, it's currently Hart because I've decided to try and avoid, which I always do, which is an early wild card. I'm going to try for once to avoid that. Usually I actually just plan for 3 weeks specifically. So I kind of set the fixture ticker to 10 weeks, sort by defence. And Joe Hart popped out of me. Don't really like him as a keeper in general. I don't think he's that good, to be honest. But I've just got this theory that if I'm not going for Lukaku, then I may as well back Hart in the first game and hope he pulls some sort of Man City versus Man United heroics and
Tom Heaton heroics at Old Trafford.
Exactly, and then starts rising in price. But I do think their fixtures aren't great for West Ham to begin with, but they do obviously sort themselves out. And I think the 4.5 million keepers in general are the ones to go for price rises and stuff. Heaton's proved it. There's been numerous ones who end up being a similar scoring level to the 5.5 ones. So I like him. I like Begovic too. Foster makes sense, but I don't know. West Brom are just so bad.
Yeah, I've got a theory West Brom are going to really struggle. I think they got a very, very good start, but I just think they probably had the worst summer of any team. I think Leicester have run them close, but I think their summer has been pretty much disastrous in terms of injuries and who's come in. Losing Fletcher, I don't understand what happened there. Pulis could never have sanctioned that. He must have been furious. His baseball cap must have been flung across the office. I think they're in a bit of trouble, and I think Pulis could be in trouble as well if they don't get results early on. Brought Gary Megson in, and as enterprising and attacking a manager as Gary Megson it was, sorry, as a Forest fan, I'm a bit bitter. I just don't see it. I think West Brom could struggle. I think Bournemouth are going to turn them over day one. So I don't know about backing Foster. He may go for me. And I did have Dawson at the start. When the game launched, Dawson was straight in. He was going to be my first pick in defence. 5 million. I reckon he's going to get 5 goals at set piece, and he probably will, but I don't back West Brom at all at this point. So maybe I change my mind, but that's where I stand on them. I'm coming to you, Andy, with a question. We talk about goalkeepers. De Gea is, again, very, very popular. And I've heard a lot of people who know their onions talk about getting De Gea in. People who I would always put down as budget keeper managers. Where do you stand on this? I mean, have you got any views on De Gea? 5-5, cover United defence. Lindelof not really an option, so is he an answer?
I think a lot of it comes into covering that defence. I see that a lot. Like, what's the cheapest way into doing it? And it's De Gea because the other 5.5 million options, we just don't know if they're going to start in defence. I've also read quite a few articles, again, like you say, from people who kind of know their stuff, and they almost have me convinced that it's a good pick for 5.5. I just can't do it. I'm looking at Heaton, so that would be like 0.5 on top of Foster. But basically the argument, the article that I read was that rotation doesn't tend to get you somewhere. Home and away is not necessarily always that much different points-wise once you start getting save points away and clean sheets at home or whatever. And that actually, for points per million, someone like De Gea is actually really good. It's just getting that out of your head, that kind of psychological extra million in some cases that you're spending on goalkeepers. So I am tempted. I'm not sure I want to get into the stage where I want to cover defences. Like, for me, Man United defence, they're going to keep clean sheets, but I don't see any value there for who's definitely going to start if we take De Gea out of the equation. I don't want to get him just to cover Man United, basically.
Okay.
I can see why people do want him.
Another question for you, John T. I'll put it to you. Tom Heaton will never see his like again. 21 bonus points, set the record for keeping.
Yeah.
Have we been spoilt by him last season? And is our views of the keeper situation this year, the fact that we're like, oh, I'm not spending more than 4 or 5, is that based on the fact that Heaton was like a superhero last season?
Yeah.
And are we realistic to think it can happen again?
Well, I had some Heaton stats, which I was going to say at the end, but I might as well bring them out now. I mean, he really is superhuman.
Roll him out. Yeah.
He's roll him out. So in terms of, a really good guide to whether a goalkeeper is any good is whether they actually catch the ball. So it's saves.
Yeah.
Dash,
that's
caught,
what my PE teacher used to say.
Rather than saves, dash, parried, fumbled, careering into Lukaku's head or bum or knee, whichever part of the body he's going to score with. So basically, saves caught last season 49, and then put the next nearest check 19. That's like he's 2.5 times better than the next nearest goalkeeper, and then you got the rest down there. So he's like in a class of his own. And then it comes to saves, 142. Next nearest, well, you got Pickford at 141, and then you got best of the rest again. So you've got your likes of Foster, and you've got Cech as well. So these are the kind of stats he's putting in, and these all mean points. So those every time he's catching the ball, every time he's doing something magnificent there, he's getting bonus points. He's saving them, and he's getting those clean sheets at home as well. They're a bit depleted. Keane is not going to be there, so it's a different thing. So are we going to see less clean sheets? Arguably, yes. They've only got 3 centre-backs at the moment. One of those is Long, who's only 4 million. So he's probably not going to start, but as soon as you get a little niggle or an injury or a suspension, Long could be coming in. That's why he's my fifth.
Yeah.
So to answer the question, will we see his like? No, he's superhuman. Will he maintain that? I think him personally, he will maintain those stats. But will he get those clean sheets? I'm not so sure.
I mean,
because he's 5 million.
He only got 10, didn't he? 10 clean sheets. It's not unobtainable. I mean, they could definitely do that.
You get the bonus for the clean sheets as well, so you've got to rack those in.
The thing is, we looked at this, the reason why Heaton got so many bonus points is because the Burnley back four hardly passed the ball. And so he was like this perfect storm of saves in a defence which hardly get possession, fairly strong at home, very strong at home defensively. So he was getting the clean sheets, he was getting the saves, and no one was picking up BPS for passing in the defence. I think they were like, other than like Sunderland, they were the only defence, they made the fewest passes amongst themselves. So like, whereas you got like Koscielny who makes 70, 80 passes a match, Ben Mee barely breaks 20. They don't have possession. And then when they do, they're like, you know, not playing Sean Dyche's tactics down, but they get rid. So but why are we not looking at him again? I mean, Heaton was in my team for a day. Have you had him in, Luke? Have you had Heaton in this year so far?
Not so far, no. But listening to you guys' argument is quite compelling. I mean, you could argue he's going to get even more save points now. Michael Keane isn't there to marshal the defence. Yeah. I just think Burnley, you just look over the summer, I don't think they've bought much. Doesn't look like they've improved in this league. If you stay still, you go down. And, well, no, I don't mean go down as in get relegated, but you lose your position, so to speak, in the sort of table of where you were last season. I can't see that he's going to continue. I think Burnley will struggle.
Hold on. They bought that right-hand side attacking axis of Phil Barsley and John Walters. How can you say
perfect example
of a transport of the Stoke right side attack into their team? It's a mighty combination, that is sure. Yeah, I mean, they haven't not exactly sexy signings, Burnley, but Sean Dyche is a bit of a miracle worker, isn't he, to keep them up? So you can't. I don't know. You can't underestimate. No one. I don't see anyone tipping. Well, a few tipping Burnley to struggle, but not for relegation. I think, you know, people like Watford and Swansea are certainly tipped to struggle. Burnley because of Dyche, I guess, and Heaton's heroics. Everyone thinks they're going to be just about okay.
The 5 million thing as well. The fact that he's 5 million. You got Forster at 5 million, where people have been unsure about Southampton's starting defenders up until probably closer to now. And you just can't look past him with those fixtures, I would have said. So that's kind of another factor.
Yeah, Forster's been in for me as well. Okay, let's look at some questions then. We're going to talk about forwards first of all, John T, aren't we?
Yeah, so we're back to Kane again. So Mufas, who is brave enough to leave out Kane or Lukaku. Well, we already know Luke's amongst those. And President Giggs asks, is Kane necessary? This is something we touched on earlier, especially if you're unlikely to captain him in the first 2. And in terms of points per game, he gets, should be ideally getting more than about 6. But is that really good value if you're not going to captain him? Bearing on his 12.5. Is Ali or Ericsson better value. So, I mean, as I said earlier, I mean, I think logically, yes, they are right. There are better captains in game week 1, namely Lukaku and the Man City lads, and in game week 2, namely Liverpool players. Then they've got Burnley at home, so that's when you want him. So I would say, no, he's not essential. But that's thinking with your head. So thinking with fear, which is basically what you have to do with Kane, and you remember all of those goals at the end of the season, it's hard to go without, basically. So, yes, it makes sense to go for Ali or Eriksen. That is the completely logical, sensible thing to do. Go for Ali or Eriksen. That's your Spurs cover. But Kane will be needed, I think, in game week 3. You need to plan for that. 36.5% ownership as well. You get that wrong in game week 1 and 2, oh dear, you're going to be sliding down the rankings. Plenty will captain him as well. We're saying we're not going to captain him, but plenty will.
Plenty will. I mean, basically, anyone who's got Kane is going to captain him most weeks, I'd have thought. I mean, even Lukaku at West Ham, I'm still tempted to captain Kane at Newcastle because I do think there's a gulf between him. Maybe a gulf's a bad word. I do think Kane is a better player, and I do think as a fantasy asset, Kane is much more reliable. Obviously, we saw Lukaku at Goodison Park as exceptional. But Kane, we did an article on him. We did the Spurs article, the numbers game. And his minutes per goal away from home was almost as good as Lukaku's at Goodison Park. And was almost as good as Jesus at the Etihad. So even away from home, Kane's like a force. If you haven't, I mean, a lot of people are going to go in without him. And I understand it. And he's been out of my team. He might not make it on Friday. But the fear of him, I mean, people say they're fearing not having Lukaku, but not having Kane in a couple of weeks, that is going to be, and it's 12.5 to get him in score. It's not going to be easy to get him in. If he does score at Newcastle, you're going to be very fidgety. I don't know. So, I mean, where do you stand on this, Andy Kane? I mean, you've got him. Are you wavering at all? Are you 95% certain to get him on Friday?
I think even 99 at this point. I just don't think he's going anywhere. Some of it is fear of what he can do, but most of it is, I think he's 20 plus goal a season striker. 12.5 million. You know, if that was Aguero when he's getting those kind of numbers, which he did last year, got 20 goals obviously still, but we'd be jumping on the chance. I think maybe it's just a psychological thing. If it was 13. An extra 0.5, then he started to hit Aguero number from last year, then I think I'd waver a bit more. But almost at 12.5, I feel like that's fine. I just think there's 3 decent fixtures in the first 5. There's the 2 home games, and I think Newcastle away is like you say, is a fine fixture as well, away from home. I'm not buying the Wembley stuff. I'm not buying the August, doesn't score in August rubbish. I just think he's a great striker. Spurs looking decent. Further on into the season, I'm potentially a bit worried about Spurs because they've not strengthened. Son's injured at the moment. I think they're going to need to strengthen if they're going to be playing in Champions League and stuff. So I'm a bit worried about Spurs going forward. But for the first 5 game weeks, yeah, Kane's in my team for sure.
So we've all got him, all 4 of us at the moment. And yeah, I mean, I've got to admit, he wasn't in until the weekend and he scored. And I'm that fickle in pre-season. I'm not ashamed to, well, I am ashamed to admit it. But I think he's going to make it on Friday. And he could well end up being my captain. I don't know. Lukaku versus West Ham, very tempting. But I just, like Luke says, I don't know if I trust United as an attacking force as yet. I still don't think they take the handbrake off like City do and like Spurs can and like Liverpool do. So I don't know. I'm undecided about the captain as yet. Bambi asked about Benteke. This is an interesting one, John.
Yeah, it's Benteke being overlooked at our peril. Well, I owned him for a lot of last season. And I kind of wish I hadn't
Didn't get
for a lot
on
of last season. No, for me personally, I think there are better value players out there, particularly in midfield, particularly in his teammate Wilfried Zaha, who is 1 million cheaper. So last season, Benteke got 136 points, 13 bonus, 15 goals, 2 assists, just the 2 assists. 15 goals, nice. But Zaha is 1 million cheaper, got 149 points, more points. Same number of bonus, 11 assists, 7 goals. So much greater spread, and also he gets more points than midfielder. So looking at other forwards as well, Llorente, he's 0.5 cheaper. He got 146 points. And he didn't really get going until a little while as well. And then you've got Defoe and King as well, 178 and 166 respectively, although King was a midfielder. So you've got plenty who are cheaper or a similar price who are getting more points. So in a nutshell, no, you can overlook him at your heart's content.
Yeah, I mean, he will have his weeks. And Huddersfield at home, good fixture. He could well punish us straight away. I think Huddersfield will concede goals. I think they'll be a funny team. It's hard to call what we're going to get with them. But yeah, the Zaha factor, you're right. And he's playing 3-4-3. So Zaha, I think he's trying to get Zaha off the wing a bit more, try and make him more influential in the central area. That can only be a good thing, surely. So I think if Zaha was 8 million, 7.5, it might be different, but I think he's such a good solution in midfield. If you want to back Palace, you go there. You don't go Benteke. No penalties for Benteke. He's one of those strikers. Milivojevic, I love saying that, even though I can't say it. Milivojevic on penalties for Palace. So yeah, I just don't see it. Don't see it at all. Okay, Netley Lucas. Very popular poster. Firmino, I love this question.
Yes.
Firmino.
Is Firmino really on penalties? And if so, is he the best third striker? I think we should perhaps go to Luke first. Am I right, Luke, that you have Firmino in your side? So as a Firmino owner,
yeah, I've got
is
him.
he on penalties?
I can't answer that. I wish I could, Joe. Pre-season, he obviously took one when Milner was on the pitch, but it's pre-season, so how much can we take for that?
Took two. One with him on the pitch, one without him.
Yeah, I don't know. To be honest, if he's got them, great. It's a bonus. I think with Salah and Mane, they're going to earn a lot of penalties with that pace. People are going to be chopping them down left, right and centre. So whoever is on penalties for Liverpool is going to be a good shout. Information we've got so far suggests he might be. So yeah, I'm happy to take that risk. If he's not, though, I still think he's pretty good value at 8.5 million. He's playing up front in a team that's probably going to score in the top three, I'd imagine. You know, City, Spurs, Liverpool, probably going to be the top scoring teams, and he's the guy up front for one of them. So I think he's worth 8.5 million. It's as simple as that, really.
But what's the difference this season to last? He was playing up front last season, wasn't he? And we didn't really fancy him as a midfielder. Why do you fancy him more? Or I don't know if you do, but why would people fancy him more as a forward now?
I guess there's the kind of the addition of Salah, so the pace. So I think with them guys cutting in behind, that's going to help him. They're going to get down and they're going to, cut the ball back, and hopefully he'll be the guy standing in the middle of the penalty area. That's going to happen more often. Obviously, Mane was out for a little while as well, so they probably lost that element a little bit. But now they've got two people who can do it. Also, Coutinho just keeps stepping up. I just think he's incredible, and if he does stay, and they've sort of shifted him into that number 8 position, the creativity he provides, I just think he makes him a better option now. Ultimately, though, it's because he's less than the other players, and he's further up the pitch than any of them. I think it's as simple terms as that, really. Could be proved wrong, but at the end of the day, I still like Defoe at 8 million. I still like potentially Chicharito later down the line, Iñárritu later down the line. So there are options if he's not doing the business. De Bruyne's not doing the business. Look at Mane. Look at Coutinho if he's still there. There's options.
Firmino's been in my team over the summer. Look, many people have been in my team over the summer, as you might have guessed already. I like it. You make a very good case there, John T. Have you got any comments on that? I think Luke puts a strong case.
Well, yeah, no, Firmino has been in my side as well. For me, it's all about whether I have a Liverpool player, not necessarily which one, because I think
you've not got one at all at the moment.
No, but I think we'll come to that, because we'll come to that when we talk about midfielders, because that's where the bulk of their assets are. But yes, I do think I think I get the impression that he is on penalties, because I get the impression that James Milner is happy to give them up to someone else. He's a real team player, and also I'm not sure James Milner is actually going to be on the pitch as much as he was last season. They have two. Well, if Moreno has stepped up, they've got 2 left backs now, with Robertson as well. So it looks like Milner will be used in the midfield. So that's fine while Lallana's out, but when Lallana's back, suddenly I think Milner's going to gradually become a bit of a squad player, a bit of a Lucas figure, really. Very reliable squad player. So I think this could be the first season of demise. But the key point that Luke made there is that you do want to get the Liverpool penalty taker, whoever it is, find out who it is and get them, because they do, the way they play. Remember that season, was it Gerrard got 10 penalties? Milner himself, many last season as well. Whoever it is, the way they play, you're going to get penalties.
Well, they press high up the pitch, they force errors, which draws penalties. And Salah, Mane we know about. Salah, pre-season, absolutely electric.
For me, it does have the potential to be, a very good fantasy Premier League player this year. I mean, he was last season as well, but very reliable. He's in the middle. He's the guy that gets in the way while the wingers bomb forward and while the likes of Ronaldo or Lallana bomb forward. So that equals assists. If he's on penalties, that equals more goals, but also equals goals as well. So there's a bit of everything there. He's 8.5, which is cheaper than Mane and Salah and Coutinho. So yeah, he has been in my side. He may end up still in my side.
Yeah, I mean, he loses the point for the goal because he gets cheaper goals, if you like, up front. But equally, when he does score, he gets more BPS, so he's more likely to be in the bonus. How's it going to weigh up? And is he going to kick on from the 11 goals he got last season? He could do. Is Sturridge and Origi going to be a factor? They could be. It's difficult. Andy, where are you? I mean, what Liverpool have you got at the moment? You got Salah, haven't you?
Yeah, I did have a Firmino draft yesterday. I called it the I can't be bothered to pick a cheap forward draft, so just stick Firmino in there. Someone actually pointed out to me, so it's 11 goals last year. The year before, he only scored one less, but in 1,000 less minutes. So that tells me there is potential there. That I know he probably plays a slightly different position for some of that, but there's potential there, I think, to score more. When I compare it to last season, I think 8.5 forward, it's not good value, but you've got to compare it to the kind of prices this year. And I think at that price up front, there's probably maybe Vardy when the fixtures get better, but from the off, I kind of like Firmino, to be honest. He got 5.1 points per game last year. Mane was 5.8, but he's a million more. I don't know. I don't know if he'll be in my team, but I can see why people like him. I think 8.5 is a good price to get into that Liverpool attack. Their only concern, I suppose, is around, like you say, Origi and that around Champions League, if they qualify. But yeah, I like him. I can see why people put him in. I just think it's like Benteke, it's just an annoying price point where if you put him as your second striker, you're missing out on a big hitter. And if you put him as your third, you're just taking money out of midfield. So it's a tough one, I think.
Yeah, he's beautifully poised, isn't he? And strangely, he's not really a sexy player. He's not going to explode loads of points. He's going to have his weeks where he gets double figures. I don't think he's going to punish you if you don't have him. But it's just the value he offers in relation to Mane, for example. If you commit to Mane and he's keeping pace with Mane, obviously he's a million cheaper. So that's the concern. And I want one Liverpool attacker. I probably want two, though, really. I mean, I just think that them and City are going to be... I look at the teams that start the season. I think Arsenal could start slowly with Lacazette there. Lacazette's settling in. Chelsea, no Hazard. Morata's settling in. So those two I don't think are going to be fluid attack-wise. So, I look at United and even with Lukaku, I still think a Mourinho team aren't going to be a massive attacking force winning 3 or 4-0. I look at City and Liverpool, I do think they can win 3 or 4-0. I think they're teams that, A, perhaps they can't defend as well as the others. B, they've got managers who are just attacking managers who will go for goals or go for the throat. So City and Liverpool are the teams I want to get in on with more than one asset from each. And that's why Firmino's teasing me a bit. And certainly Luke's made a very good case. Let's go to midfield. Let's talk about those, Jonty.
Yeah, well, let's talk about this is the Magnificent Seven, these 7 million strikers. So last season, it was all about these 8.5 million. They're all much more expensive now, your likes of Ali and Ericsson. So this is the 7 million spot. So we've already mentioned Zaha as well. We've also got Willian and we've got Fabregas at Chelsea. The feeling is they're going to play because of there's injuries elsewhere as well. And so you've got those. So the questions are really, is HY Liverpool and also Red Lightning has asked basically those, which one? So we want a 7 million, which one do we get? Or do we get a couple of them? So I think, Zaha got more points, but obviously that was due to Willian and Fabregas limited game time. I think if they start the first 3, then one of the Chelsea 3, that pair could do really well. I think Willian especially. Then you have to factor in, is Pedro worth the extra million? That's something that Mickey Mouse operation asks. I think I've had a look at minutes per chance. So this is what you have to do with these players because they had limited game time. So it's unfair to compare points. So Willian, he had a chance every 35 minutes. It's pretty good. Pedro every 36 million, but he's a million more. And then you got Fabregas at 51 minutes and then Zaha 62. So Willian is the clear favourite there in terms of potentially getting an assist. In terms of scoring, well, it's Willian again. He's got a shot in the box every 56.6 minutes. Pedro 63 minutes, Zaha 73, Fabregas way behind at 95. Once again, so I think Willian, he's going to be in my side. I just think he's going to play because Hazard's out. I think also in the Community Shield, now everyone says he played poorly, didn't do much, actually created more chances than any other of his teammates. So that's possibly Chelsea as a whole weren't playing so well. Willian was doing his bit there. So for me, I think it's Willian, but I've also got Zaha, so I'm probably going to go for both.
I don't know. I endorsed him, Willian, a few weeks ago, but Chelsea in pre-season haven't impressed me. Morata's going to take a month to get going. Batshuayi has done well, but is he cut out for week in, week out Premier League? We'll soon find out because I think he's going to have to play. Hazard may take at least 2-3 more weeks, maybe more, to get in that team, and they need him. I just worry that I think William's a great player. I think he can deliver in a good, fluid, confident Chelsea team. William will be good and deliver for us. Have we got that, though? I don't know. Luke, where do you stand on Willian and Chelsea?
I had him for most of my, like you, I had him early doors, and I've had him for a long time. But probably in the last 2 weeks, like you, I've just wavered a bit on him, just because, like you said, Chelsea haven't looked that great in pre-season. I know we shouldn't take too much from that. People have defied that before. Chelsea themselves, I think, lost like 6 or 7 games one pre-season, and then they lost every game in pre-season, I think it was, and then they won the first 5 games in a row, like comprehensively. I remember that a couple of years back. So I do like him. His set piece is a great 7 million attacking. He's probably going to be their main sort of guy they look to make things happen for them. But it's just the kind of transfer waiting to happen. I don't know when Hazard will come back. I don't know exactly when, he'll be dropped. And that worries me later down the line. I just prefer to go for Zaha, who's basically the big fish in that sea. They're trying to do all the comments that De Boer's making. It's like, Zaha's my man. It's all around him. That's certainly not the case for Willian. Zaha, I don't need to worry about unless he gets injured. I'm hoping that I put him in there and he's going to be fairly consistent. But they both got great game week 1 fixtures. So, I have thought about putting Willian in and then swapping to Zaha. But then I look at Zaha's versus Huddersfield. I think I may as well just start with him and just forego Willian. That's my current thinking anyway.
Yeah, no, I've got to agree with that. Andy, where do you stand on these? Fabregas not getting much of a mention. And is Willian a clear-cut choice there over Fabregas?
I don't know if he's clear cut. I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat as Luke, really. I've got no Chelsea players in my team right now. And I think probably a bit too much of that is based on the Community Shield. But I just look at their opening fixtures and I don't know if they're worth it for the first 5. I think they're missing Hazard, and not just Hazard, they're going to miss Costa as well. I don't think Batshuayi is going to be up for the task. And like you said, Morata's going to take a while to get going. So I think Williams taken Hazard's place and he's an okay player, but I don't think he can replace him. Fabregas didn't really get into the game against Arsenal, but they're not going to play Arsenal every week, I suppose. But when's Bakayoko back? When he's in, is Fabregas then going to be straight out? So I'm a bit like Luke. I know that I'll probably wildcard early, but I always like to think that I won't. So Fabregas and Willian are probably early transfers to make. So I'm also at 7 million. I'm probably looking at Zaha, to be honest.
Yeah, he's in
my
team as well.
Fixture. Yeah.
So we're all agreed. Kane and Zaha so far locked in by sounds of it.
Very boring.
Yeah. Bloody hell, I can't believe this, John. We're actually answering these questions by the looks of it.
Yeah.
Which is the first. Good start to the season.
I was saying I was going to sit on the fence on lots of things. I'm going to be much more flexible and open-minded this season. But I surprised myself. I've been quite committed. Zaha,
yeah, well, let's have the next question and try and be really woolly and sit on the fence for this one.
Okay, Zorro121. Is Pogba worth the extra 1 million? Extra 1 million on the ones we just mentioned. Is he a gamble? Basically, what this is about, we mentioned it earlier, it's the theory that with Matic in the side, Pogba will start bombing forward and he'll become some kind of Yaya Toure-esque Amazonian warrior, kind of unleashing his entire frame on the goal and scoring 20 goals. And well, he probably maybe not go that far, but that's the feeling, that he's going to be better in terms of goal. So he's going to be worth 8 million. I think there's potential there. He's currently in my side. I think it is a gamble. I think it is a risk. And I think on the evidence so far that we've seen, I think that partnership, that arrangement, trying to get Pogba up forward may take a little time. But I think it's there, and I think it will happen. I'm just not sure it's going to happen immediately. But they've got great fixtures, so that's the good thing. So I am going to sit on the fence with that one. I may start the season with Pogba. I may not. It's a gamble.
He's been in my team, but I've got to tell you now, I am leaning towards Mkhitaryan if I was going to pick.
Yep.
And Andy's not in there, and Andy's a United fan, so that makes me feel a little bit better about it. Andy, tell us about Mkhitaryan. What's your views on that?
I think I've been plugging Pogba for a bit pre-season, but I think you're basically picking Pogba to cover Man United's attack in a different position that's not Lukaku. I think if someone said to you Mkhitaryan and Pogba are both starting every game, then there's no way you pick Pogba. So I think whichever Man United midfielder you go for, you should do it knowing that it's probably going to go wrong. I think for someone like me, I'm probably going to go with Mkhitaryan and fit him in somehow. Knowing full well that it might backfire like it did last season, but I'm prepared to take that hit to have the Man United player in. I think Mkhitaryan's got potential to outscore that 8 million price tag and make it like kind of a mockery of it almost. But it is a risk. We see him tonight. He started. I think the problem with Mkhitaryan is we've got a lot of players for those two kind of wing, left forward, right forward, whatever you want to call them positions. So there is a chance that he steps out from time to time with Rashford, Lingard, and Martial. So it is a bit of a risk. But I think he's more attacking than Pogba, much more likely to get points, I think. Maybe Pogba further in the season, but you've got to be prepared that goes wrong, I think. Early season.
Yeah, he started three at the back tonight, didn't he? Valencia, Lingard, wing backs, and he played Mkhitaryan centrally. I think when he plays that, Mkhitaryan's in the 10. I think he's got the edge over the other players,
he played
Martial and so on. But then he switched it, didn't he? Second half, I think.
Okay.
So I think he likes Mkhitaryan as his 10, and he's been very good pre-season. So he's had a good summer. Pogba, I've got a problem with. I do think he'll get forward more, but that doesn't mean he's got an end product. And I look at Pogba and think he's still raw for me. He's still not composed in the box. He's still, obviously, physically he's fearsome, and he should be able to take the game by the scruff of the neck and run it. And he will have games like that. Well, he will, but I just don't see it yet. I don't see he's got it yet. So I got my doubts.
Yeah, I think from a non-FPL point of view, like Man United really do miss him when he's not in the team, but that's not what you get points for. So I can see why people want to go for him. But for 8 million, I'd probably rather have Zaha than Pogba, I think. But that's not going to stop me having kind of both. I'd probably have Zaha and Pogba or Mkhitaryan. But yeah, I think it is a risk. Oh, Mark's gone, hasn't he? Is everyone else there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
No, he's lost connection.
Oh.
I'll give you my views, which are probably
yes.
shocking.
We'll bypass Mark and go straight to you, Luke. Yeah, what do you think about it?
No worries. Man United midfielders, man. I don't know. Jose Mourinho has got a reputation. He seems to destroy all the decent wingers and midfielders in his team. I mean, Hazard's obviously done fantastic for him at times, but he even managed to destroy him just before the end. So I just always worry about them. I mean, there's also Mata. He's a good player. I think there'll be a little bit of rotation there, Mkhitaryan and Mata. I just don't fancy them for goals. I think Lukaku's going to have a monopoly on the points there, similar to Ibrahimovic did, similar to obviously Lukaku did at Everton. I think that's more likely to happen. And although he could prove decent value, I think there are better options elsewhere. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I think he's definitely a player that we're looking at and thinking.
I'm back.
There's a big risk there. Yeah, we were just looking at Luke's views on Pogba there, and it was suggested actually on the live chat that Pogba's so rubbish that it's somehow broken your connection.
He pulled the plug.
Even us talking about him has broken your connection.
I watched him for a bit tonight, and I still just don't think he's not the finished article. Of course, we know that. We can't expect him to be. He's still a young player. I just think Mkhitaryan has got the edge on him when he gets into attacking areas. He's more likely to convert chances and create chances. Pogba's a different type of player. I'm still not sure what Pogba's best position is, really. So we'll see. I think we might see more of it this year. Whatever role he's going to play for United in the years to come, we might well see it develop in the next 9 months. But I don't know what it's going to be.
Well, let's consider another midfielder that is slightly at the lower end of the price scale. Tom Carroll. Lion A is wondering whether Tom Carroll is now playable in a 3-5-2 or rotating. Basically, is he actually worth starting? And Aguero is also considering this. Mafusa as well. Is Tom Carroll going to be this year's Capoue? Now, this is quite key, actually, because there's probably something psychological happening here. We all got Capoue in because he impressed in pre-season, as Tom Carroll has. And then we all benched him. And then we all missed out on his points. By the time we got him back in again, it was too late and it was over. So there's that fear of missing out again. So I've basically been impressed. He's had 3 assists in pre-season. He's on corners and free kicks and lots of set pieces, while Sigurdsson is debating where he's going to end up. So once Llorente's back, that's going to be absolutely key, because Llorente's head is ready and waiting for delivery there. So he's definitely in my team. I don't think that's a question. He's pretty nailed on there. I think he is by far the best 4.5 option. He's nailed on. He's actually got threat, and he's got lots of assist potential. But the decision is whether you start him, whether you get. So at the moment, I'm starting him against Southampton, but I've got Gross. But I think that's going to change. I think that's going to change, and I think I might upgrade Gross. I might not, and I think I might put Carroll back on the bench, risking another Capoue instant as well. But I think that's the thing. I think there's a bit of psychology going on there with him. But I think he's undeniably the best 4.5 mid.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I had Capoue on my bench for the first 6 weeks, and he got the goals, and it still didn't make any difference. I still wasn't going to play him. And I think, Andy, you were the same, weren't you?
Yeah, and I'm probably going to be the same for Tom Carroll. I mean, 3 assists, they were all in the same game, weren't they? I think were they spread out, or were they all in the same game? Tom Carroll, I think they were all in the same game.
They were, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if he is going to be the next Capoue. I mean, he's going to be in my side 100%. I've got him currently playing, but even if he is going to be the man, I mean, it's Man United at home in the second game week, and then another away game. The Spurs away in like game week 5. So how often do I want to play him anyway? Probably not that much. I've seen people say stuff like, if he was 5.5, we'd maybe give him a bigger chance, and there's probably a little bit of truth to that. Yeah, I think at 4.5, I'm probably going to bench him and just hope I get some points if it comes to it. But I don't think I'm going to play him. I've kind of looked at what I can get by playing him, and my current team I get 5 big hitters, but I don't really like it, if I'm honest.
Yeah, no, Luke, you're the same. Have you got him? I guess everyone's got Carroll.
I've got him, yeah, but never considered playing him as part of the midfield. He's got 3 goals in his career in the league, or not Premier League, just leagues in general. That includes Championship and League One. 3 goals in his career, 2 in the Premier League. That may change, having more of an advanced role, yes. But he's certainly no Sigurdsson for me. Swansea were pretty awful last season, let's not forget. And they're going to lose potentially Sigurdsson, and Llorente is their other main threat. He's out as well. So I think he'll get points. I think he'll be worth more than 4.5 million, but I couldn't bring myself to play him every week. I mean, I could end up eating those words, but that doesn't sit right with me.
Yeah, I think, Jonty, you're on your own here. Definitely on your own. 3-1.
Well, yeah, I mean, basically the way my team's set up at the moment, I'm either going to play him and then get it and also upgrade Pogba to Mane, so I could do that, or Salah, or I bench Carroll and I upgrade Pogba and Gross and have and upgrade Gross and have William. So then I'm going for that Pogba move there. So this is what Carroll offers. He offers a kind of a route to getting a nice forward line, as well as so it's kind of a sacrifice there. He's a player I don't mind playing, but yeah. He's a weak link, obviously. So, yeah.
Okay, defenders, let's quickly touch on those. What have we got here? Fancy Feet's got a question on Trippier, yeah. I guess. Yeah.
Well, yeah, Trippier. A lot in our community had Trippier. 5.5 for a very, very attacking Spurs defender. Why not? But then he got injured. So he's twisted his ankle. We're not sure how long he's going to be out for, or indeed whether he's going to be out. So we assume he is. So who's the best replacement? HY Liverpool. He's looking at Southampton defenders. Who's the best one at 5 point? There's the 5-point gang: Stevens, Cedric, and Yoshida. And then what's the matter? Asked, what about the Man City defence? And is Stones a good option? Well, I've answered that earlier. Yes, I think he is. So I mean, I'll go back to John Stones actually. I mean, he's had 2 goals in pre-season. He's looking very attacking. He's looking nailed on if they play 3 at the back. So of the Southampton defenders as well, I've gone for Stevens. This is going back to the Southampton fans again. They are absolute massive fans of Stevens, and if you follow them on Twitter and then on the site as well, posting up clips of Stevens coming out of goal, Rio Ferdinand in his prime style, right up to the halfway line, dribbling the ball, fine attacking pass to the attacking midfielders or strikers. Incredible stuff. So, but the sense is that he is very much an improving player that is going to be integral to the way that they play in terms of getting the ball out quickly from defence. I like the sound of that. That sounds like bonus points to me in terms of passing and those types of things.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at BPS though. I mean, Yoshida does still nick it.
It's very close. I looked at that. It's very, very close. There's not much in it. And I think what it is like with all things this season, we're looking at last season just as a guide, as an indicator. And what we're really looking at is players that are going to get better. And by all accounts, what the fans are saying there, Southampton, Stevens as a player is going to get better. The other feeling is that if whoever they get in to replace Van Dijk, should he go, which he probably will, Yoshida is actually going to be the one to miss out. That's the feeling.
Okay, interesting. I mean, Bertrand 5.5, is he worth the extra? That's a question for you. I mean, he was their top player for points per match last season, 4.7, I think. Got the 5 assists, 2 goals. Andy, what do you think on Bertrand? Where are you going with your Southampton defender? Are you going for one?
I actually had Bertrand. I had him for a really long time. The only reason I don't have him now is because I've had to cut back and try and get money to upgrade other players. But if I can get it back, I really like Bertrand. I think at 0.5, I think it's probably worth it. Because I agree with Johnny. If they were nailed, then Stevens I think would be the one I'd want as well. But just watching him last season, just always seemed to be getting on balls in the box. But the problem is what the fans want and what the manager wants isn't always the same thing. So I would worry that he'll be the one to drop out and he'll keep Yoshida. Maybe that won't happen, but we just don't know. That's the problem. And I don't know if I want that risk early on, basically. So I like Bertrand. I just don't know if I want to stretch the money right now.
Luke, you want Southampton's defence?
Yeah, I've got 3 Southampton defenders.
I thought I was seeing things.
No, I'm that crazy. Again, defenders go by fixtures. I don't base it on anything else really apart from that. I looked at the ticker for the first 10-11. They were right up the top there. I can see, I mean, for Southampton get about 14 clean sheets a season. Doesn't matter who, there's their manager, who's the personnel. They lose all their best defenders. They lose all their best players, basically. And I think for the last 4 years, they've averaged between 14 and 15 clean sheets. With those fixtures right there, surely they're going to get some of those again around that number. And they're good price, 5 million for those players. The only thing that was sort of, swaying me was the whole Van Dijk issue. And now he's come out and pretty much said, I don't want to play for them. Not exactly those words, but I would be surprised if he played for them again, given what he said and, the sort of discussions with the club there. So for me, I'm happy to go with them for a little while. There's 3 weeks of the transfer window. That worries me. I think they'll probably try and buy someone, but I can always sub them out. I think for game week 1, home to Swansea, I could potentially get a triple clean sheet. I hope so. So that's what I'm going to go for.
Fair enough. Massive endowment for the Southampton defence. There's your answer to the Trippier replacement. I mean, when Trippier is back, he was in my squad, of course.
Straight in.
Is he straight in, Jonty? Straight in, Trippier?
Well, it depends what's going on there. It depends what the Spurs fixtures like. As Luke said, fixtures are king when it comes to defenders. You can chop and change. Just as an aside, those people who've been playing FPL draft, the key thing there is to not bother with your defenders at first, because there's so many of them, and then you chop and change through the season. And in a way, we should be doing that in the main fantasy game as well. We should be moving them around. So that's why I'm really backing Southampton for things you said. I think they're the one to go to. You just got to look at those fixtures. And with Trippier as well, yes, 5.5. It's just bargain. That's a huge bargain considering his stats.
Yeah, it's just crossing, isn't it? It's his delivery.
Just depends where Spurs are at then, and where the fixtures are at then. So, and we don't know how long he's out for. It could only be a couple of weeks.
Yeah, no, I think it will be. He's not even ruled out yet for the weekend, so maybe not. We won't talk about goalkeepers. We're going to go to the final question now. Dead Star's got a cracker for us, hasn't he?
Yeah, he basically said, so it's Friday afternoon. This is what Dead Star's saying. He's painting the picture. It's Friday afternoon.
Oh, don't fast forward me to Friday afternoon.
And the average fantasy manager is in an absolute panic. So they want to come to us for one key piece of advice to give to a panicking Friday afternoon game week 1 fantasy manager. Don't know who wants to go first.
I'll go first if you want.
Andy, you go first.
Go on, Andy. What have you got for us?
So I would say that you're not going to lose everything in the first game week. And a lot of people, and to extend on that, a lot of people will say as you get towards the end of the season, that's the time to put differentials in. Whereas actually I'd argue that now is the time to put in a player that you just really like and you just got a gut feeling, because no one really knows what's going to happen. We think Kane's going to do well. He did well the previous seasons. He probably will. We think Lukaku's going to do well. He might not. So if you don't fancy him, don't get him. And, if all hell breaks loose and they do really well, then sure, you've got a wild card anyway. Not everyone, but a lot of people use it in the first 4 to 6 game weeks. So you've always got that on the side if things go completely wrong. And that is pretty much why I'm going to put Mkhitaryan in, because if he doesn't do well, so be it. I'll just get rid of him. Like, he could be awesome.
So you're saying chill out, relax, it's fine.
Yeah,
Everything will be all right in the end.
Try and chill out. I mean, if you're leaving it, your decisions to the last minute anyway, you're probably screwed already. So yeah, just chill out.
I've got to say, my best ever start to my best ever game week 1 ended up being my worst ever season. So if that theory kind of it might be something in it. John T, what's your views on this? I mean, what's your final day experience normally? Normally it's a Saturday morning. So do you normally wake up Saturday morning year on year and go, I'm not touching my team, it's done? Or do you tinker last minute?
No, usually you don't change. You only change it through team news. I remember one particular season when there was question marks over Lampard and Rooney. That was back when Lampard and Rooney were a force to be reckoned with in fantasy football. And I think I got one of them in, and then one of them didn't play. And so it's things like that. You've got to be looking. You've got to really keep your eye on the team news there as well. But my key piece of advice is look at your squad and think. Basically, you've got to know that game week 1 is not going to go how you want. It's the week we prepare the most for. We've been preparing for it since mid-July, but it's the week we know the least about. We have no information. We cannot say. People on hand and heart are saying all sorts of things, including ourselves. Kane will do well. Lukaku will do well. Will they? Well, game week 1 will not go as planned. So you need to be flexible, and you need to be thinking who might do well that I don't own, and I'm going to want in game week 2. Will I better get them in? So at the moment, I've got 1.5 in the bank. I don't know. I may keep that and be flexible. But that's the thing. It's not going to go how you plan. Try and best you can to prepare for the unexpected.
Luke, any thoughts on this? I mean, are you going to wake up? Are you going to change anything Friday? Are you settling on your Saints back line and Kane and so on, or are you going to change stuff?
Who knows? Probably, but I'm hoping I can keep with it. Most of the time I'm at work when the season starts. I can't remember a time when
it's
I've
a
not
good
been
situation to be in. That.
Yeah. Well, we'd have thought, but last season, does anyone remember that? I think I got 20 points 3 weeks in a row for the first opening weeks. Kapui was playing a blinder and everyone else was terrible. Was that last season? The first 3 weeks we got about 20, 30 points. Shocker. So if I can do better than that, I'll be happy. I will try to stay off of Twitter, stay off of the site, just forget all about it, because I'm sure there'll be lots of rumours floating about. There'll be lots of, bits of potentially misinformation about who's got on the bus, who's not, and it could throw all your best laid plans out the window. So although I'm off, I'm going to try to just kind of chill out, spend it with the family, and see what happens. But we'll see
I mean, I guess advice-wise, what I always try and do is I like the idea of banking the first transfer, because John T is right. Obviously, it's going to be nothing's going to be expected. We don't know what we're going to get game week 1. But one thing I normally know is that after game week 1, I want to have as many transfers as I possibly can, and the urge to play the wild card straight away is normally there. We don't, of course. We normally wait for the break, but I like to have a bench which allows me to set up for game week 2 as well, so I can take 2 transfers into game week 2. And then I've got the option of taking a hit and having 3 transfers, so 2 free and the hit. And I like spending. I don't mind spending 4 points when there's 3 transfers being made, because I kind of think one of my 3 transfers will hopefully get it back. I've only got to get 1 right out of the 3. I haven't got to get it right with the 1. So that's what I'm going to try and do again. So I'm going to try and set up, because, and it's not because, I think I'm going to pick a great team for game week 1. I probably won't, but I think when you set up for game week 2 as well, you've got a little bit of a consolation. You can kind of think, well, game week 1 didn't go very well, but I'm okay with game week 2 because I've set my team up. I've got a couple of people on the bench who are cheap defenders who are going to come off and have good fixtures in game week 2. So hopefully I can turn it around. If you go into game week 1 with a team just for game week 1 and you just don't even look at game week 2 or 3, and you have a bad game week 1, then you're already on the back foot and you're looking at a game week 2 team going, I've only got 2 defenders who have got good fixtures for game week 2, and I've had a bad game week, and suddenly it all starts spiraling, and then before you know it, your hits everywhere and wild card is tempting. So I would say try and stay calm, like the others have said, and try and look at game week 2 and have that as a buffer, because there's nothing quite like the fact that you feel like game week 2 is going to be okay to get you through the shock, and it will be a shock, of game week 1 being average at best. I think we're all expecting average at best, aren't we, John, to be game week 1? We'll take that, won't we?
Yeah, I've never had a good game week 1, but I've never had a really bad one. It's always been just above average, 50 points or something, 55 points. And that's fine. I mean, that's the thing. And you're completely right about game week 2. You've got to look at that. That's why I'm looking at Southampton players. Why? Because they've got a good game week 2. In fact, they got a good game week 1, 2, 3, etc., all the way up to game week 11, except for game week 6. But so if you're starting with, say, Rooney and an Everton defender, then you're stuffed, basically. And so you've got a nice home fixture against Stoke, as you were saying. But then you can just look at game week 2 and go, oh my God, what have I done? And then look at the horror show of the rest of their fixtures.
Yeah.
So you can't rely on players like that. That's why I'm swerving anyone who's got just that one fixture in game 1. But yeah, you're completely right there. Got to be.
Because it puts all the pressure on game week 1, doesn't it? And that's what you don't want, because you can't call game week 1. Yeah. Anything can happen. So don't put pressure on it.
It's the same as any. You look in 4, 5, 6 week blocks, 4 week blocks usually. And then who's got the best fixtures over that 4 weeks? That's what I've tried to do, so that I know the games 2, 3, 4. I'm going to be okay. Hopefully, that's why I'm a bit reluctant to say, for example, double up on Spurs, get Kane and Ali. I'm very reluctant to do that, or Eriksen, because the following week they got Chelsea.
Yeah.
And then I know that's not good. So then I've suddenly got a fifth of the value of my team tied up to 2 players. The champions.
There's nothing worse if you get Eriksen and Kane, and then they both blank at Newcastle, and they've got Chelsea next.
That's it.
The bottom's falling out of their market, isn't it? So we kind of need Chelsea, we need Spurs to score, and one of those players to do well. Otherwise, Spurs are going to plummet.
And it's partly why I'm thinking, I'm starting to think like with Pogba as well. See, that is a gamble. You're gambling that he's going to become the Yaya Toure of old and bomb forward. He might not, and he certainly might not in game week 2. So then you're stuck with an 8 million player.
Well, you're not. You got one free transfer, of course. So again, you look at but I don't want to use that. I want to carry that over.
There'll be other problems.
Yeah, exactly. There'll be other problems with that. So you don't want to be forced into making almost a vanity transfer and going, well, I've already given up on this player. I want him out. Don't be hasty with that, though. We've got to get players in and give them a bit of time. Ben Crabtree did that a lot, and he did all right, I heard. Yeah. Okay, weekend preview. Let's do it. First one of the season. Go. Clean sheets first. Coming to you, Luke. Clean sheet.
Oh, God.
Woke you up.
Man City.
Man City. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I do. I sorry, but John T, I don't see Brighton scoring there. Do you see him breaching the City defence?
No.
No. There you go.
No, that's why I've got John Stones on my side. I know that Brighton on my side, but I'm not a fool.
Yeah, it's a clean sheet.
I think they will struggle.
I would be surprised if Brighton touched the ball, have more than 15% possession. That's the I'd be surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in pre-season, I think they've been doing that. I mean, against Atletico, obviously they're a top. Is it Atletico they play? Correct me if I'm wrong. They did play a top team in pre-season. They've had very little of the ball.
They did score 2 against them, and they did perk up in the second half. But yeah, I was following the feed from a guy called Andy Naylor, who is the Albion correspondent for the local paper there, the Brighton Argus. Well worth following on Twitter, by the way. And he was doing following, and one of the key points he kept making was Brighton are struggling to get the ball. That's going to happen a lot next season. And yeah, I think that's the point he's making there. They're just, I think that's going to be. I think City is a great test for that. I might be wrong there. I hope I am in some ways, not from a fancy point of view, but from a Brighton point of view. But yeah, good
okay.
Call.
Clean sheet, John, to yourself while we're on you.
Do you know what? I hadn't even thought about it, but I'm going to go a bit old school. Last season, I think Chelsea against Burnley. I'm going to go with the old adage that Burnley don't do much away from home.
Yeah, Andy, coming to you. Clean sheet.
I think Man United then against West Ham.
Okay.
I know they've bought a few attacking assets, but I don't know what West Ham are up to really, and whether they're going to be any good. So obviously United have got Matic, and I just want to say one thing because someone keeps telling me this stat. Because I know people are looking for Man United defenders. They're wondering if Phil Jones is going to be nailed now. I think nailed is probably pushing it a bit too far, but it does look like he's going to start the season. And apparently last year he started 18 of 19 games when he was fit. Now, what the circumstances are around that, I don't know, but there you go. Man United, Phil Jones.
Old-fashioned defender, he likes him. Lindelof hasn't settled, and obviously Jones is suspended, isn't he? So, I think Jones and Bailly start the season, don't they, in the league? Bailly's a certainty to start. Jones, is he preferred to Lindelof? Yeah, he probably is at the moment. Okay, my clean sheet. I'm going to go. Shall I go Maverick? I'm going to go Bournemouth at West Brom. I think Bournemouth are going to win 3-0. I think they're absolutely going to turn them over. I like Bournemouth as a team, like Eddie Howe. And where West Brom going to score a goal from? Rodriguez, I guess, is what people are going to say. But I think they've had a miserable pre-season. So I think there's 2 left here. Liverpool at Watford. Watford haven't hardly scored pre-season either. And Bournemouth at West Brom. So I'll go for Bournemouth. I think Charlie Daniel, I think Aki's going to do all right for you first week, Johnson.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I agree with you. I think I can definitely see that as well. I mean, people always ask when you have rate my teams and they've got Rodriguez or Rondon in there, and I always say the same thing. In the lowest pit of hell sits the pewless strikers, destined to spend eternity never ever to score. If you want goals for West Brom, get a centre back.
I think Rodriguez has got quality. He'll get goals out of nothing. We saw in pre-season he got a worldie. He can get goals out.
He'll get nothing out of nothing because that's what Pulis strikers have.
I think Rondon needs service, and he runs and runs all day, but he just very rarely gets service. He got it in one game and got a hat trick.
I don't like him. I think he tells him in training. He says, "Look, you don't score. You," points to McCauley and Dawson. "You two up you get, score." That's the training. That's West Brom training.
He says to Rondon, "Hey, big man, win us a corner."
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think Bournemouth will go there and win, maybe 2-3-0. I think that'll be the big shock, and the Pulis talk starts early. Okay, I'm probably completely wrong. Let's have Fancy Island Risks. Luke, you first on this as well.
Lucky me, hey? I should get the best picks, right? I don't know whether I'm allowed in. We had a bit of discussion beforehand, but I said Jamie Vardy because he's only got 4% ownership.
Yeah, very low owned, but Andy's got a problem with that. He's shaking his head already, isn't he?
Yeah, I think I don't know whether we should do it differentials or not. I think we discussed that we'll probably put a hot topic up tomorrow and find out what rules the community want for this, so we don't have these issues, shall we say, in the future.
But surely a differential, all that means is a lowly owned player, right?
Yeah, surely he fits that profile. He's just he was like one of the top players 2 years ago, and it's like, okay, yeah, John T, your Fancy Island Risk.
Leroy Fer.
Yeah.
Leroy Fer, that's it. So why have I gone for him? So he's a risk because he's playing Southampton. So Southampton, we think, might get a clean sheet. So, but I think Southampton, they've conceded 6 goals and 5 pre-season matches, so they're vulnerable. Fer scored 2 goals and 2 assists in pre-season. He has immediate form. He scored on the opening day. This is the one I've really gone for. He scored on the opening day of last season to shock everyone. And then he went on to score 2 more in the next 3 matches. So he had a great start to the season. He's only 5.5. I think he's absolutely, when we have the hot topic tomorrow about what's a Fancy Island Risk, for me, it just has a big picture of Leroy Fer on it.
No, he did absolutely. Yeah, I that's going to really upset Luke if Swansea scores at Hampton. That's your 20-point game week. He's gone. Yeah, I like Leroy. He's playing in the diamond, and he's playing further forward, playing alongside Carroll, and he's the one who's going to get into the box. Carroll's not a box-to-box player. Fer certainly is, and he did well last year, didn't he? It's just obviously no Sigurdsson supply ammunition, so it makes us think Swansea will struggle for goals. So, yeah, good one. Okay, Andy, yours?
Yeah, I gave someone I wrote off very quickly after coming to the Premier League, and that's Granit Xhaka. I just think Arsenal doing
Sunday.
Sorry?
Played very well Sunday, didn't he?
Yeah, he's got a few free kicks. I think he can pass that ball pretty damn well. So I think there's assists on the cards, maybe a few long-range shots. It is a risk for sure, but I think Arsenal are going to beat Leicester. I think they're looking all right with the 3 at the back formation. So, yeah, Xhaka for me.
No, that's a good one. I was going to go Batshuayi, but I don't know. I think Chelsea will beat Burnley, but it will be a struggle. And Batshuayi could get a goal out of that. He takes, he has a lot of shots, and if Chelsea are going to score, you think he will get in there because I don't think Morata will even start. But I will go with Atsu at Newcastle. I had an astounding pre-season. 4 assists, 2 goals, scored in his last 2 friendlies. Spurs. You could back them for a clean sheet, but I think Newcastle will score. I think it's a good time to play Spurs. I think might catch them cold. It's not an easy game for them, and that Newcastle crowd and that. And Atsu, good form, 5 million. I may well have Richie and start him. I'm not going to get Atsu in my team, but I think eventually Murphy will get in the side. I think, but he has started well. A lot of people saying that actually could be the bargain this year, could be the Mahrez, but I think that's going a bit far. But anyway, we'll see. He certainly looked good in pre-season. Okay, have we got anything to add, Jonty? I think that's it, isn't it? We've gone through the questions, we've given some answers.
I think we cleared it. I mean, I hope we've covered everything. If we haven't, let us know on site tomorrow, and we can put up some hot topics. And hopefully Friday won't be that much of a panic. We can relax, as Andy said, and put our feet up.
Yeah, I like Andy's style. I don't think I will be going into Friday relaxed. I'm changing my team an awful lot, and I've still got plenty of decisions to make, as I'm sure plenty of people out there have as well. I think this is one of the toughest pre-seasons I've seen. I don't want to put the pressure on, but I look at it and think there are some really crucial decisions here. I know we've got the wild card, but I normally don't like to play it early, and I normally like to stick by my guns. And the season I did that, I had a terrible year. So I do worry I'm going to do that again. I'm going to get it wrong and then not play the wild card. So I've got to make sure if I get it wrong, you've got to tell me, you've got to convince me, just scrap it and start again, because I like to back myself sometimes, and that's normally a disaster. So pressure is on for me. I want to get it right. And obviously, yeah, people expect me to as well. But anyway, hopefully not so much pressure on you, Andy. Go on.
There's one thing we haven't done is captains. Right?
Ah, yes.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot that last time.
Yeah.
Well,
so
okay.
Christopher Nutton just reminded me in chat.
Yeah, good shout, Chris. Well done. If I've got Lukaku, I will probably have to go Lukaku. But at the moment, he's 50-50. And so I'm going to say now I'm going to go Kane. I think I'll be 3-1 Spurs. So I'm going to go Kane, I think, at the moment. But it depends if Lukaku's there. Who are you going with, Jonty?
Lukaku. He scored in 7 of the last 8 games against West Ham. West Ham are playing at Old Trafford, and Manchester United played well at Old Trafford, and Lukaku scored tonight against Real Madrid. So,
yeah,
who I hear are better than West Ham.
Yeah,
so,
you got James Collins and people like that.
I think as soon as July, whenever it was the game launched, Lukaku was straight in my team, and the captaincy was on him. It's never moved off him, so I have to stick with that.
Okay. Coming to you, Luke, because you're not going to say Lukaku, because you can't.
No, I've got Joe Hart, remember, so I'm after the complete opposite. In fact, Jonty's picked Fur, and I've got the Southampton defence. So I'm literally battling Jonty on the first day. It seems like that. Anyway, Kane, he's going to be my captain most weeks, unless he has a complete shocker for the first 7 weeks, like he's done for me in the past. So I'm really putting my faith in him. Maybe Jesus, maybe, but Kane most weeks. So
Okay, so it looks like 1 for Lukaku, 2 for Kane. Andy, you're going to split it, aren't you?
Yeah, I love that West Ham stat. It cracks me up because people kept saying that at the end of last season and he didn't score in the last game against them. So he's got a great record.
That was the one out of the 8.
Yeah. But yeah, it's going to be Lukaku for me. I don't know about captain De Bruyne, because I think he can explode, but because of all the assists rather than goals, it's a bit harder for him to do that. So if I had someone like Jesus, I'd maybe back City to absolutely smash Brighton, but it's going to be Lukaku. I think it has to be for me. Absolutely.
Do you think if you got Lukaku and Kane, what are the odds you're ever going to look beyond those two this season?
Exactly. I probably won't, to be honest. I mean, maybe a Liverpool player in game week 2. I think they've got a good fixture compared to the other two, but they're going to be my two main captain picks. So I don't think we know yet, really. I don't know if we've had any pre-season. Who's on penalties for Man United? It could be Lukaku. And bear in mind, all the goals he scored last year was without penalties. So there's a chance I don't think he's likely to improve heavily on that, but might give him a good stepping stone to do it again.
Yeah. Okay, well, it's going to be interesting. 2 all on the captains. I may well go to Lukaku if he's in my team. He's in there at the moment, but he has been in and out like nobody's business. And so we'll see in 2 days' time if he's still there. We're going to be back next week, and we'll pick the bones out of game week 1. You've heard it here first. We're expecting just above average. We'll take that. It's a good night for me.
Good night for me.
Good night.
Good night for me.
Good night all. See you next week.